Okay, everyone, let's get started. Super excited. Our guest today, Kerby Skurat in Minnesota. You can see, if you're watching the podcast here, you can see behind him, it's looks miserably cold. Kerby, are you prepared to share the good, the bad, and the ugly about your real estate business journey?
Oh, you know it. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to talk with you, Lars. And yeah, I'm an open book, man. So hit me with all you got.
Awesome. Let's do it. So, Kerby, take a minute. Just kind of let us get into into your, kind of personal life, how you got into the business. Not too long on that, but the
Yeah.
listeners really want to get to know the person that they may be taking advice from here in a few minutes. So, tell us
Yeah.
about yourself.
Yeah. So I went to college in St. Paul, Minnesota, and then was recruited to work at General Mills. And after about 2.5 years at General Mills, I started getting itchy and decided to get my real estate license in the evenings and weekend classes. And then transitioned for 1 year into commercial real estate. And in 2008, as the market's in free fall, decided to get into the real estate business, residential side. I just got sick of corporate America. Jones Lang LaSalle, great company, and General Mills, same thing, but I'm not a corporate guy. And so decided that it was best for me to transition to residential real estate in probably the worst market in the history of the United States. And just scrapping, doing whatever I could to take deals and make it happen. And then Christina, my wife, ended up joining me at the end of 2010. And so my first couple of years, I did 13 sides and then 24 sides in 2009, and then 27 in 2010. And then Christina joined and we did 60, and then we just have skyrocketed since then. So you probably have the wrong person on the phone with you today, because we didn't really get successful until Christina joined. But we've built a cool business, and we have about 39 people with both agents and support staff. And personally, I have, like I said, I'm married to Christina, and I have 3 children, 5, 3, and 15 months. And then we have a little girl coming in August. So pretty full life outside of real estate as well.
Awesome. And I want to kind of put the hook out there so the listeners stay till the end, because we're going to unpack all of it. But tell the listeners how many transactions you were able to do with just you and your wife and an assistant, and then just give them a little bit of a flavor for what the business looks like today, just from a production level.
Yeah, so that first year we did 60, just Christina and I, no assistant. The next year we hired an assistant in December, and full-time assistant, and we ended up doing 120 transactions that following year. And so with Christina and I and an assistant, we were able to do 120, and then we hired a showing partner and 1 buyer's agent and went to 192. And so, a team of 4 people was able, 5 people, no, 4, I guess it'd be 4, was able to, no, 5, that was able to knock out 192 transactions. And that was with a pretty small budget and working out of a home office. So you can really scale big time if you just focus on the right things, the dollar productive for the rainmakers, and really getting the non-dollar productive off of your plate for the folks that are assistants, still valuable positions in the team, but just really segmenting out what's best for each person. And then as we've built our team now to 39 people, the last couple of years, we've kind of been hitting a ceiling at about 350 transactions, between 350 and 380 in 2016, 17, and 2015, 16, and 17 have been between that 350, 380 mark. But what's changed for us is our involvement in direct sales with clients. That's been the biggest shift. And so in 2015, of the 345 sales, I think Christina and I accounted for 180 of those. And last year, of the 370, Christina and I accounted for about 50 of those. And so, and Christina is predominantly the one that sells. I probably do 6 to 12 annually. And then this year, we're really shooting to be under 24 sales combined, with the team doing 450. And we're pacing to do 450 sales this year.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Let's appreciate that. That's some good background. If that doesn't get y'all excited to stick around and hear what Kerby has to say, I don't know what will, especially the conversion from, was the 192, was that pre any kids? I'm trying to do the math.
Yeah, the 190. So it was 8, 9, 10 was 2010 was 27. 2011 was 60. 2012 was 120. So that was the year that Vivi was born. Is 2012. 2013 was 192, and then 2014 was 245. And then Lucy was born in 2015. And that's the year we did 345.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that. So Christina had a baby in January that year, and she still sold 150 homes.
Yeah.
And so that's just, I tell you, dude, you got the wrong person on the call today.
Yeah.
Question.
Well, I mean, all of us have that infinitely better half. And in your case, really, really is true. All right. So Kerby, tell us what is, I like to start off with a favorite quote, when this is not a simple thing to scale a business, go from producer to, manager to leader. What's a quote that's kind of stuck with you every day when you've been doing this?
That's a good question. I am a growth-minded guy. So we live in our core values of be humble, be a hustler, never problems, only solutions, positive attitude. And then the fifth one, I believe, is the truth of why we've been able to scale. And the quote directly relates to that one, which is, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And that's Pat Riley. And so our grow and learn is our fifth core value. And as we've learned from you over the years, we've learned from other coaches, I just have this ferocious desire to watch other people that are doing it at a high level and learn from them. And if I'm not getting better every single day as a human being and as a business leader, I'm getting worse. There's no stagnation in business because somebody's out there trying to take your legs out from under you, recruit your people, throw a wrench in your marketing systems. I mean, all those things are realities, and we want to be better every single day. And so that's really what's driven our production and our business over the last 10 years now that we've been in the real estate business.
Awesome. All right, let's kind of talk about the journey and the different phases of growth. As you guys were growing the team, what challenges did you have moving through those different phases? I mean, in Real Estate B School, we have the navigator where we, talk about survival and then ramp, scale, lead, exit, where 95% of real estate agents are stuck in survival mode, selling 2 or less homes per month.
Right.
Talk about the different challenges that you saw with the business, with you and Christina as you were going through it, as you guys ran the business.
Yeah. So I think being a husband and wife team, people are like, you guys are crazy. And we honestly think the same thing sometimes. But I would say that the biggest challenge for us being a husband and wife team is just really making sure that we maintain a marriage. And so, in full disclosure, in 2014, we went through some pretty significant stuff with our marriage. And, everything in our business is impacting our marriage and vice versa. And so we really got deep on marriage counseling and pushed into that. I think a lot of people are either too proud or just scared of what's going to happen to push into that. But I would say the biggest challenge for us has been really maintaining that marriage being the number one, and then the business secondary, because it's easy to get those flip-flop. And I think regardless of whether or not you're in business with your spouse, it's really easy as you're going through those stages to make the business the priority. And that is the biggest mistake that anybody can make. And we made that mistake even being together in the business. We made that mistake. And so I would just say that, as we've gone through the good, the bad, and the ugly, the ugly was 2014 when we spent, talk about all the lead generation and whatnot you spend as far as real estate agents go. But we spent about $5,000 on marriage counseling, and we were there every other week making it happen and pushing into those 2-hour sessions, lots of tears, lots of crying, lots of pain. But our marriage now is awesome. And I would say that has been the biggest failure and success in this business has been our marriage. So it's pretty cool to be able to see that come through.
Yeah. And I don't know the stats on it, but I can't imagine that real estate is good for marriages. Conventional success has you selling, 3 to 4 homes a month, maybe a part-time assistant.
Yep.
Your life is not your own. It's 8 days a week. It's anytime, anytime you think you need to be there for your client, you're there, and it trumps your relationship, your spouse, and then also your children.
Absolutely, man.
I joke with anyone that has more than 2 kids is that you have that many kids too many. They ask me so what's the problem? Why can't I do this? I'm like, well, dude, I have 2 kids, and it is a lot, and you have 3 and a 4th on the way. So if Kerby ever asks me for advice, I will say, well, let me just think about the problem. The problem is you have 2 kids. It doesn't take long, to figure that out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, really cool. Let's talk about, this is one thing that I do not see in our industry is, getting real about some of the failures.
Mm-hmm.
And I see guys on stage that are selling, hundreds and hundreds, 1,000+ homes. And I've had conversations with them about their profitability and about the fact that their production is the only money they make and only a part of it.
Yeah.
And so let's get real about your failures. And this is true for any business builder. Somewhere in the journey is a failure of some kind.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about a couple failures in the journey, maybe some of the tougher times, where it wasn't that much fun. You considered kind of throwing in the towel. And then for each of those failures, what was the lesson, right? If you fail, and you don't learn something from it, it's sort of a waste of time. But talk about a failure and a lesson, failure and a lesson.
Yeah. I would say right now we're actually probably, as weird as it sounds, having 100 and, I just put updated the numbers this morning. We've already written, it's April 16th, and we've already written 126 contracts this year, and we have 56 pending and pending and close, which is awesome. And I think right now, as weird as it sounds, we're in a like what I would call a failure phase, simply because our cash is so drawn down. And we have invested heavily in leadership. And so the failure for us in the lesson learned is that we didn't do a good job as we built and scaled this business, putting solid leadership in our wake or in front of us even, and building leaders up within the business. I think that's been the biggest failure. And the cash drawdown right now is because we brought in a leader from the outside who's awesome and we're super excited about. And she's doing a great job and she's helping lead our sales team. But she, there's a ramp period and she's about 6 months in right now. And the production that we're going to see from her efforts isn't going to come until maybe Q3 or Q4. And so we're feeling the pain of a cash drawdown for a very significant role in our team that's going to help Christina and I really, as EOS, which you're a fan of as well, the entrepreneurial operating system, talks about delegate and elevate. And one of the things that Christina and I have to really do is start to build those leaders in that can own the pieces of the business like you're doing right now in your business. And we're actually, learning from some of the stuff that I'm watching you do. But the biggest lesson is not investing in leaders earlier in our career. And now we're our business is thirsty for more leadership and thirsty for more people that can actually, that the humans can lean on. And we just don't have that right now, where we're building it, but we don't have like just a plethora of just people that can come in and mentor and train and lead like Christina and I can. And so we're kind of the bottleneck right now, which is it's a bummer. And so I'd say that the cash drawdown and the lack of leadership are the 2 biggest ones currently. In the past, I think it relates to that too, but we've had some turnover issues in previous years where we lost good people or we made, poor hiring decisions simply out of, necessity versus like really needing, putting the right people on the team. And that again comes back to leadership or just not having the right folks on the bus. And so we make poor hiring decisions or we keep people too long because we feel scared or stressed out. And so those are the biggest, the people stuff, man, in the last couple like years, I would say last 36 months has just been hitting me hard and hitting Christina hard. And for me, I'm a systems guy, a lot like you, a systems and marketing guy. And there's 2 types of managers. There's managers that oversee things, and there's managers that oversee people. And I'm a things manager, and Christina's a people manager. And so I'm really good with the things piece of it, marketing, systems, spreadsheets, tracking, finances, and Christina's really good with the people. And we just haven't had enough people managers in our business to really help us scale as we've liked. But that's turning, and we're starting to get some pretty solid folks on the bus, and it's going in the right direction. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Let's transition a little bit into, maybe back when you were just sort of scaling the team where that light bulb came off or came on about like this is it? So maybe it was, maybe it was just bringing the wife into the business.
Yeah.
But some moments of truth in those early days where, you saw the world differently, because there's a lot of folks that don't believe that they could do this.
Yeah.
So what was that moment for you where you're like, man, I could really do this?
It's weird. So in 2008, I got in March. And I think in June, I was invited by a KW guy to a class that was being taught, business essentials or something, super, super basic KW course for new agents. And I read at that point MREA for the first time. And I looked at it and I was like, man, these guys, like, this is the system, this is the model. And I didn't believe that I could do it, but I read that book, and that's the book that gave me the light bulb of what the pieces of the puzzle were to structuring and building a team. And so it wasn't until the end of 2010 where I actually started to put in I was just a solo agent. I don't even know what having an assistant or having a sidekick like Christina was on the MREA chart, but it wasn't until about three years later where we actually made our first real hire. And I think the light bulb clicked when we were sitting at the dining room table, scared like crazy to extend a job offer to one of our friends who was at our church and just kind of she had been doing some part-time work for us. And we said, hey, like, we think we're going to hire you full time. And that was like, because if it was just Christina and I, we could eat ramen or, beans and rice and make it by. But now we had this line item of another human being on our business budget. And that's when we said, okay, we got to make it. And I think so that would have been December of 2011 when we had that meeting. And I would say, so it took me almost 3 years before I really realized that putting other people into the business to help us scale was the critical component. And now, and you just have reiterations of that. You start to see, okay, I need having a solid assistant was the first step, but now having solid other leaders in our business as we're going to the next level is the next step. And I think that's where, that light bulb went off is a couple of times. One, reading MREA, second time bringing Christine into the business, and the third time when we actually hired Liza to join us as one of our team members. That was like, and since then it's just been finding good people, investing in those people, having those people step up and rise up and become leaders. And, it's been awesome. So I'd say there's, with the failure that we talked about a little bit ago, also comes the amazing blessing of other people that are in your world, supporting you, investing in you, and you're doing the same thing with them. So
yeah, that's really good. And I think you called Christina your sidekick, so I don't know how that's going to go for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point she was, because I was the one that had been in the business. And so, but now she's the integrator of our business. We have the visionary and the integrator like you guys do. And she's the one that all decisions go through, and she's the one that really bears the burden of a lot of the business stress. And yeah, I'm a fortunate man to be able to have her as a wife and then also as a business partner. So
yeah, she's definitely
sidekick, but
yeah. So we'll see how that goes for you. I think this is a similarity between you and I. Is that, and a lot of business owners, we fail to enjoy the ride.
Oh yeah.
So what practices do you put in place to make sure that this is, you celebrate your victories, it's just been a struggle of mine. I'm interested to hear from you, are you enjoying the ride? And if it's a struggle, how do you make sure you slow down enough to enjoy it?
I have really struggled with this one as well, because I'm a builder and a fixer, and so if I see issues, I want to fix them. And if I see new opportunities, I want to build on them. So I really, I don't step back and I'm not, it's hard to step back and be like, wow, you guys are doing something that's different than most other agents in the world. And so I don't celebrate enough. One of the things though that I do get a lot of joy out of is our team has really started to gel from a cultural perspective. And it's fun for me to see, young millennial types coming into the business and succeeding and getting to that level of their production where they're making six figures, and they came out of a job where they're making, just over, I would say $10, $12 an hour, and now a couple of years later so I'd say that's something that gives me a lot of joy is to see the advancement and growth of our agents, the advancement and growth of even Bonnie is on our team, and she's been with us for 5 years. She started as Christina's right hand and a licensed assistant, really. And now she's our operations lead, and her ability to lead people now and hold those really difficult, fierce conversations has been awesome for us to see. And I guess I get a lot of joy, not so much out of the numbers, but of the growth of the people, because I think as I've really learned, the growth of the people is really what is going to cause the growth of the business to happen. And so it's been a major shift in my thinking. But now that I look at our business, I'm like, man, if we can just get, 5 or 6 more Bonnies, it's going to be game over, so.
Awesome. Let's transition into the current business. I just kind of want to get into what the business looks like. Tell us about the team structure and production levels between the agent, inside, outside, showing agent. Kind of lay out the business for us.
Yeah. So we work off the same model that you do, and so as visionary as me, integrator is Christina, kind of like that combo like you and Thomas have, and then move into marketing. So I sit in the marketing seat, and then I have a marketing coordinator, and then I have 2 virtual assistants that help with social media and video editing. And so video and also like creative editing. So Brittany really runs all of our 33 touch type of stuff. And then Clav and Karina help with the other aspects of that. So that's our marketing team. And then we have an inside sales team, which Christina leads. And so she's kind of the inside sales lead. We have 4 ISAs that make outbound calls to Commissions Inc. leads, Zillow leads, and then they receive all of the farm or inbound inquiries to our websites. And then our sales team, that's where Melissa Day is overseeing that. And we have right now 8 buyers agents and 4 listing partners. And our listing partners can do both. And so they do some buyer sides as well as the listing sides. And then we have a showing agent model, and currently we have 3 people in our showing agent team. So that's kind of how that sits out or lays out. And then in the ops piece, Bonnie oversees that. And Bonnie has a office manager / HR manager that really helps with recruiting. And then one of our ISAs is also a recruiting caller. So she makes phone calls to, just agents that are maybe looking to make a transition or we view as having lower production numbers. And then we have a transaction coordination team that 4 that helps with, just different pieces of the puzzle to make sure that the transactions are handled well. So that's kind of our structure. And this year we're pacing to do 450 sides up from 380 last year. But the biggest element is we need to add agents. And so we've been just really looking to add good agents. Our goal is to get from 11 full-time at the beginning of the year to 21 by the end of the year. And we want each one of our agents to be selling a minimum of 36 by the time they hit their second full year in the business. So effectively, after the first 90-day ramp up, they're going to be at a 12-month kind of increment of, 3 a month every month is the goal. So we're pretty aggressive with our hiring process, and we're unapologetic about holding people and really judging people on our core values. And then, in that 90-day onboarding period, that's kind of a spot where we see how much they really do want it. And then after that, it's holding them accountable to hitting their 36 sale number. So it works pretty well, and I think that we've got a lot of opportunity to scale it, and it's a good system. So
yeah, awesome. You are just as passionate about tracking as I am. Talk about your most profitable lead sources.
Yeah, so we've had a farm campaign for a number of years now, since 2014, that has been really good. We live in a city called Plymouth, and we run a newspaper to 26,000 homes or 21,000 homes called the West Metro Expert Advisor, or the Plymouth Expert Advisor, and that's been a really profitable endeavor. It was very unprofitable the first year, but it took a couple of years to ramp it up, and so that's been a really good lead source for us. I think 4-to-1 ROI there. And then we've had Zillow and Commissions Inc. for a number of years. We upped our spend on Zillow last year, and so we saw a drawdown at the end of 2017. And we're not where we want to be on Zillow right now. It's profitable, but Commissions Inc. is 6-to-1, and that's been a really profitable lead source for us. And so I would say our four big pillars: Sphere, which crushes. That's been massive. We do 5 events every year. That's easily a 15x ROI from a spend perspective. 43% of our business last year was Sphere. Farm, which is another big ROI, 4 or 5x. And then Zillow is probably our highest spend right now. And we're looking to recalibrate that a little bit. And then Commissions Inc. So it's very rare for a team, and you probably experienced this, to go over a certain number, probably 300, without having radio. And that's another failure, is we've really botched on radio over the last couple of years. We've tried it a number of times. And I think finally we've got it dialed on one station, and we're going to ramp that. And we just started that in April. So our 5th major pillar will probably be radio. And then we're starting to get more aggressive into social and trying to really learn that game. And I know you've got some strategies on that you've shared with me that I'm looking to implement. But I'd say that our biggest holes are radio and social right now. And so that's where we're going to kind of look to go in the next 12 months.
Awesome. What's something that you're doing really well right now in your business?
The best thing in our business right now, I think, and it's not even Christina and I, it's really the accountability. We sat down with our team and just laid out what we call the back on track process, which accountability isn't something that people want to talk about. But I learned at the Zillow conference last year from a guy. He was just kind of chatting with me at the breakfast table, and he said, "Hey brother," and he's this really cool, like kind of cool, laid back dude from I think probably California, who knows. But he's like, "Brother, accountability is love." And I'm like, that is awesome, dude. And so we do have a heart for our people and our team members, and we want to make sure that they are held accountable to hit what they want, not necessarily what we want for them. And so I think that one of the things that is going to make a big shift in our business is really being able to identify the areas where people aren't living in the core values, or aren't living in the gets it, wants it, has the capacity to do it aspects of their roles, and then just getting them back on track. And so I'd say that is one area that's really strong right now. As weird as it sounds, it's, it should be systems or it should be marketing. But I do believe that our people piece is the next catalyst for us as we go into the next phase of KC, the KC Experts team. So
yeah, accountability is love. Is if there's one thing among many things that I could have embraced earlier on and understood that earlier on, that's something to really take note of.
Yeah.
How about the future of the business? What are you most excited about the future?
Man, so, we work off of the EOS model like you guys do, and that's a book by Gino Wickman called Traction, and we have an implementer. And so, the clarity that we have now after 36 months, 30 or 36 months in that system is really helping us paint the vision for our team of where we're going. And our 3-year picture is 700 sides, and our 10-year is 1,500. And we really want to get there with a team of experts that are referred, and 60% of our business is ideally, coming from Sphere. And so I'd say when I think about 700, but 3 years out looks like, it's a team of about 25 agents that are averaging about 36 homes each. It's an inside sales department of 5. It's a marketing team structured very similarly to we are right now. It's a culture that people are showing up to and loving their gig and just embracing the hard and embracing the suck and pushing into accountability, and they want it to be somewhere where they want to plant for 15 years. And our leadership team is gelling and dialed, and our virtual assistants are awesome. We have the best virtual assistants in the world, hands down. And I think that the other piece is that our clients, are referring us in a huge way, and they're showing up to our events in droves. We're having one of the cool events we're kicking off this year, and it's going to be an annual, is the KC Fun Run. So we're doing a run walk event, which I'm pretty excited about, and that's coming up in May. And then we have our barbecue where we invite everybody out to the Saints game. But we would love to get 1,000 people out to those events, and that just speaks to the culture that we're building as a team, and it speaks to the service and the care that we're giving to our clients. And so my goal for 3 years from now is to be just one of the most trusted and referred teams on the west side of Minneapolis. Not a big marketing show, but a team that has that heart first, and then obviously backs it up with the strong marketing that we do for our sellers and the amazing service we provide for our buyers. Awesome.
When I say business is 80% psychology, what does that mean to you?
Man, it is a mental game. And I also think that as being 80% psychology, if you don't have good shrinks, you're going to fail. And what I mean by good shrinks is people like you, people like coaches that I've worked with and other avenues that just give you the clarity that you need, because it's so easy to go into negativity and to think that you suck and think that your business is never going to get anywhere. And so if you don't have somebody that's in your world giving you advice on what the next step is, I think it's going to likely take you 5 to 10 times longer to get where you want to go than if you have those people. And so as I've gone through the years, 10 years now of being in this business, there's never been a year where I didn't have somebody significantly impacting me from the outside of my business, giving me good advice and really helping me think through the strategy that needs to happen in order to get to that next level. So yes, it is psychology, and I think that it's really easy to get your psychology screwed up. And I think that if you don't have somebody in the trenches with you that really knows your business at a high level and can speak into where you are and where you need to go, it's so easy to get off the tracks. So
awesome. All right, Kerby, we have reached the favorite part of the show. It is the lightning round. I'm just going to throw questions at you, and you're going to give us life-changing answers.
Here we go.
All right, let's do it. So what keeps you up at night when it comes to your business?
People.
All right. What were you most afraid of when building a real estate team?
Failure.
What is the best advice that you've ever received about business?
That's a tough one. There's so much good advice that I've gotten from people. I'd say lately it's that leadership is the future of your business. And that's probably the number one thing that I'm learning right now, is that building leaders is how you're going to take a business from 380 to 1500, which is where we're going to go.
Yeah. Can you share one of your personal daily or weekly habits that you believe contributes to your success?
Try to be every morning at least 1 mile of either walking or running on the treadmill, listening to an Audible book.
Awesome. Do you have an app or internet resource like Evernote or something that you're in love with that you want to share with us?
It's an app that you threw me onto, and I'm a man of faith, and so I would say that I have a great church home, but the one guy that kind of he's like my Tony Robbins preacher is Stephen Furtick, and so I'd say the Elevation app has been for those folks that don't know Stephen, he's a good dude and he's got a really strong sense, and I'd say that that's been a big one. I don't use any sort of I do have one personal app that I use that I think if you and your wife are not aligned on planning meals and thinking through how to get the groceries in the house every week, that it will be a game changer. It's called Paprika, and it allows you to plan your meals and then really download and put a grocery list together super easily. I know you're not a big believer in the grocery shopping piece of life, but it's a fun way for me and my daughters to get out, and they get a cookie and I get to push them around in the shopping cart. And, they love that. So it's I do the grocery shopping as a daddy-daughter date a lot of times, and dude, I'm kicking it. I'm crushing it on the daddy-daughter date front right now. So
I love it. If you could recommend one book for our listeners, what would it be?
Boy, recently the one that has hit me the hardest has been Extreme Ownership by Jocko, and I think that the reason is because if there's an issue in your business, as much as you want to blame shift and you want to pretend like it's somebody else's problem, it's your problem. And if you don't take that mindset into your business, it's going to continue to be an issue. And you've got to grab the bull by the horns and say, listen, this is my issue. This is the reason that the business is struggling right now. And it comes back to you. And so that's what that book teaches. And it's a great, great read on leadership and how to really own your mess.
Awesome. What should you have shared with us that you haven't?
I'd say that I think for me, like when I think about why I'm standing where I'm standing in this business and as the person that I am, I think that it does come back, and this isn't a sales pitch for people that are watching this testimonial or this video. I mean, like it is getting somebody in your life, a coaching relationship in your life that ultimately helps you shift and change who you are. And I think you shared on that thought, like you've invested more than anybody I know. You're nuts, dude. You've invested more than anybody I know in personal development, and there's a reason why your businesses are successful, and there's a reason why you're doing what you're doing. And the same holds true for me. There's a reason why I am where I am, and it has very little to do with me. It has a lot to do with the people that I've learned from. So I would say that more than anything else, and it doesn't have to be Lars, there's plenty of great coaches out there, and Lars will tell you that too. But I would say that if you don't have a relationship with a coach or a mentor or somebody that's helping you think through the craziness of these businesses or this business, you're going to be further behind than you should be, simply because you're not learning. And so that'd be my big takeaway from the whole talk today.
Awesome. Kerby, the last question here. If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
I would have started really giving people leadership opportunities sooner versus controlling. Like, I am like this, and I'm like, this is, like the movie, I think it's The Hobbit, like the guy, the little troll, like, my precious, I have treated my business too much like my precious, and it's mine, and it's not for other people, and it's not for other people's growth. And I would say that it's, as I think about that and I look back, like, it feels kind of disgusting now to me that I've thought that way. And I really would have changed that mentality sooner and made it about others, and made it about building leaders up, and made it about giving more opportunities to people to screw up and take chances. And so I'd say that if I had to go back now, I would have done a better job of the leadership development piece versus just developing myself in that area. So that's the biggest lesson that I'm learning right now, and it's going to change, and it's going to be awesome when it does. But it took me 10 years. It took me a decade to figure that out. So
yeah, cool. Kerby, as we wrap up, I believe that our industry is suffering and struggling, and is broken in a lot of ways. And there are a lot of agents out there that are struggling right now. What words of encouragement could you give them?
I was at a conference this last week, and there was a dude there, a couple of dudes actually, that they're in the spot that I was back in 2009 or something, where they were kind of like solo operators, maybe an assistant. And I think that it's just taking a chance and taking a risk. That will put your business in the next to the next. Every little risk you take, you're either gonna fail and get feedback, or you're gonna succeed. And so I think a lot of people just live in this stagnant mentality that, like, your business is like, if you make a mistake, that's a bad thing, and that's just not a bad thing. Feedback is the ultimate reason why we succeed. It's not failure. So don't feel like you're failing, you're letting your wife down, you're letting your kids down. Take a risk, move forward. And if you do, quote unquote, fail, do not view it as failure, and do not stop taking those risks. View it as feedback, and figure out why it didn't work, and then come up with a new strategy of how you're going to move forward.
Awesome. Kerby, thank you so much. I know this will impact a lot of lives, and I just appreciate your open, your caring spirit. We joke, that your personality is it runs hot at times.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of us hard drivers, don't really slow down enough to even do something like this, let alone kind of share those things that you would have done differently. So I really appreciate it. I know Real Estate B-School thanks you as well. Absolutely. And now everyone, let's go out there and build a life by design. Until next time, be good.